What up, gang? Oh, damn. What is this? My view's all wonky. There we go.
Loads of people
Uh,
coming in.
That's it. That's it. All right. 1 second. Join us live now. What up, everyone? Been a minute. How are we all doing? Fabulous. All right. Hopefully fabulous. That's what we want. Hello, hello. What up, what up, what up, what up? Howdy, gang. Um, I believe as part of the new thing that we're doing as instructions given by the team, quote unquote Swapnil, um, everyone who stays around till the end of this is going to get some saucy surprises from the Smartlead team. Well, it's not even a surprise. It's actually kind of a given. You'll get 12,000, hopefully 12,000 email verification credits that cover catch-alls as well, completely verified on the house from our end. 5 lucky winners, those who stay till the end of the game. All right.
I don't need
Oh,
it, brother. I don't need that shit, brother.
who's there? Alex. Alex, it's all good if you don't need it, but I'll still offer it. Um, so anyone else who does need it, is definitely available for you so that you can make sure your emails don't bounce, and you hit the primary as much as you can. Now, you need shit weather. All right. So with that being said, we also got some fun surprises from the Trigify team as well, and some of the things I'm gonna offer you. But like I said, super simple. Stick around till the end. You're good to go. Well, you find out what Trigify is very, very soon. And just one more thing for those who've just joined. Well, two more things. I lied. Some of you have already seen it. Some of you may not have known, but it's already up, hot and going. Smart Senders is in email infrastructure, is the fun, saucy thing that's happening now. You can go ahead and set up an entire infrastructure in one click of a button. Well, 2 clicks, I'm lying to you. But yes, you can get Outlook, Gmail in a shot, Outlook for $1, Gmail for $4. Your DKMD markets is all that yucky BS all done for you in a click of a button. Done, dusted, and good to go. And yes, all US IPs. Do not worry. Along with that, one last thing to mention as well. For those of you who have asked, can you go ahead, Lucas, how can you get that? Just ping ignore at IKNOOR on Slack. He'll get you access before we give it to the rest of the world over the next few days. With that being said, one last thing to point out to every single person. A lot of you have asked with respect to sending only to certain lead ISPs or ESPs. That was originally done in a separate way. It was not good experience, so I flipped that around. That will be pushed up tonight for a lot of you, so you can effectively only send to Outlook or only Gmail if you want, straight from the campaign settings, just as a quick note. Sweet. With that being said, I'll step back a bit. I'll give it to the two guys with a lot more hair than I, and have a good session right here. Akash, on to you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Vaibhav. And as always, respect you all taking the time. So welcome to another session of Office Hours. And today we have Max Mitcham. Max is the founder of Trigify. And I saw it in the comment, what is Trigify? To give it to you in simple lines, Trigify is a platform that leverages sales triggers to help businesses find pre-intent leads. But with that being said, Max, we'd love to hear from you. A quick round of introduction about you and as well as Trigify.
Yeah, thanks. So hi, everyone. Max. I started Trigify maybe 2 years ago. Started as an agency, funny enough, building out automations for various other agencies, NA10 on steroids, basically, and quickly realized that like using signals was like the way to basically build out these automations. And my distaste of dealing with customers on like a one-to-one level from an automation agency meant I was like, I'm going to build a product around this so that people can do this themselves. Anyway, so we built Trigify, which is used for signal-based like list building. Initially started out building all first, second, third-party signals, and then quickly realized that the best performing signals for email campaigns, LinkedIn campaigns, kind of any form of outbound really was what we call like social signals. And so we exclusively now focus on social signals where people are now getting literally 1 in 3, 1 in 4 positive reply rates, which is quite insane.
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Max. And with that being said, let's jump straight into the topic here. So, why is social data so important, right? Why is social data the next frontier of sales? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So I think like if we look at social media as a whole, no one forces anyone to go and engage with someone, right? So if we look at every other like signals are a really hot topic in sales at the moment. The challenge is most signals are at a company level, whereas when you look at like social signals, and social signals can be anyone who's engaging, so commenting, liking multiple times, talking about certain things. No one is forcing that individual to do that. So it's the only place where there's like true level of individual intent, if that makes sense. So the prospect is interested in that particular topic area. So if you know, for example, if I'm tracking someone that talks a lot about cold email, for example, if I'm tracking V, and then I reach out to someone being like, hey, I can improve your email infrastructure and get you in the inbox like 40% more of the time. You're obviously going to be interested because you're engaging with, V all the time. You're following this cold email space. This is going to resonate with you, right? And that's the kind of like concept around why social data is kind of taking the storm and is being so interesting. But just to add to that as well as email is getting harder, which like it's no secret, right? The volume that you need to get the same level of performance is substantially lower. Therefore, protecting your inboxes massively. Like I do the same amount of meetings with 400 leads versus like 2,000-3,000 that I used to do. So
fair enough. Designated. Fair enough. And why do you think this is going to boost sales teams' effectiveness? One, again, I understand in terms of volume, you're not reaching out to 3,000 people which is direct outbound. You're reaching out to people who have some intent. But what is your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I actually did an experiment, and I don't know if this is a good thing to say, and like this is probably like the hardcore cold email like space, but I connected some Gmail accounts a couple of weeks ago to Smartleads, so everything is solely Smartlead, what we use at Trigify. But I did zero warming up, and I just started to connect them to any engagements that I was getting on my LinkedIn profile, and any engagements I was tracking Adam Robinson as like a thought leader and any engagements that he was getting. That campaign itself gets around 50% positive reply rate with zero warm-ups. And the volume's so low that I send like anywhere between 5 to 10 emails per domain because it's not super high. And so it's allowed me to spin up emails quite quickly without needing to go to like these private servers and things like that and spend a lot of cash in such a simple way and have like the same kind of effectiveness as if I was to go and build like a super sophisticated campaign on Clay and email 2,000 people with 50 domains, for example.
Fair enough. And that's a great number. Like you're not doing as much as volume, but the results are probably the double, right? So, Max, what's your perspective on leveraging these social interactions and online behaviors to identify potential leads? So you did mention there's some engagement happening, there are posts, there are comments, etc. But what is your perspective on leveraging these social interactions?
Yeah. So there's like the three main use cases, right? Like the most obvious one is like you leveraging your own content or your own brand's content, anyone who's engaging with you or Smartlead, for example. The challenge is if you don't post a lot, and a lot of people don't post a lot, or a lot of people don't already have like decent levels of engagement. And I get it, it takes time to kind of build these things up. That's not really a viable use case. So the other two popular use cases are tracking thought leaders. So anyone who talks a lot about the pain that perhaps your product or service offering is going to fix, and then also tracking competitors, right? So if you track competitors, you then can filter down onto the people that are your kind of target ICP. So those are the three kind of core use cases: personal brand, competitors, and thought leaders.
Got it. So this is what we should be looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So would you be open to give a step-by-step breakdown on using social data to refine the targeting and engagement?
Yeah. I can actually show you like how I'm doing this and doing it into Smartlead
Yeah, please.
as
We'd love to see
well.
that.
Yeah. I won't go too hardcore on a demo, but so what I'm doing, so this is my profile that I'm
Mm-hmm.
basically monitoring every single day. This is pulling through all of the engagement from my LinkedIn profile. And just as an FYI, um, you don't actually need to have LinkedIn for this to work. You don't need to sign into LinkedIn. You don't need to use a Chrome extension, anything like that
Wow.
in any shape or form. So I am happy to say that it's like 100% safe to do.
Lovely.
Um, but yeah, you can be monitoring anyone. So you can see like I'm monitoring loads and loads of people, right? But
Mm-hmm.
this is my own profile. So what I'm doing is I pull through all of the engagement that's coming through into here. Then what I'm doing is I filter down onto my target ICP. So you can use like an AI system to hone in on the relevant people to you based off who you would define, i.e., job title, company size, things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then what I want to do is filter down onto the number of likes, right? So people that are engaging with my content 3 or more times, so that what you're doing there is you're trying to find true levels of intent. Like they're not just like one-off engagement, like they're coming back because something is resonating with the content that either I'm posting about or a thought leader or a competitor is posting about. So these people are then truly engaged. From here, you've got like one or two options. You
Right.
can either start to push this data straight into Smartlead, right? And so like it's
Mm-hmm.
very simple. You literally just connect your API key, away it goes, and it can go like
Mm-hmm.
you could also use like a webhook, so it like goes on like autopilot, like straight into Smartlead. Or I don't know, a lot of people will be kind of Clay users. You could chuck it into Clay as well, right? And then you could do some other like fun stuff inside of Clay. And I'm not going to do a full
Right.
demo of Clay because we've all been there with Clay. But one of the
Mm-hmm.
core things that I use with Clay is I am basically this is where I've taken it to the next level with Smartlead as well. And this is why Clay is quite handy. Um, I am tracking with Trigify all of these different thought leaders. Particularly Adam Robinson's a big one that I track, right?
Right.
Fun fact for you, every time Adam posts, I get 5 meetings from it.
Wow.
Like that's like how good it is. And so what we're doing here is the data goes into Clay. Clay then tags it using an AI system, like 5 topic areas that Adam has talked about, which would be like
Mm-hmm.
um, founder-led brand, VC versus bootstrapped, blah 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 blah. Depending on the tag, it routes it to 5 different smart lead campaigns. Inside of those 5 different smart lead campaigns are lead magnets associated with the type of content that that person has engaged with. And so then it's like a personalized campaign with multiple campaigns inside of Smartlead, and Clay's kind of just like my routing system from the Trigify in the first place.
Fair enough.
And that's like how I'm leveraging like social data from like a thought leader slash competitor like perspective as well.
Got it. This is crazy and this is interesting. So the next step, right? So let's say target those people, get the data, you have it ready. What is your take on the personalization and the timing, Max? Because that's the next thing, right? So you have the data, you push them into a campaign, and
Yeah.
how is the personalization like? So, because we come across a lot of things, and I saw somewhere if you're going to personalize it too much, saying I saw you like this post on LinkedIn or you commented on here, it's going to look automated. But what is your take on that? How do you do it?
Yeah, I'll just pull up like so this is like the actual like emails that I send for anyone who's engaging with like my content. So this basically is just saying appreciate like it's super hands off, right? Like it's just like saying appreciate you engaging with my content, put a lot of
Right.
time and effort into it, etc., etc. So that comes when it comes to people engaging with me, right? Like it is a little bit more like obvious, like thanks for stopping by type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this just performs really well. It's just a one email
Yeah.
sequence. When I'm doing thought leaders and kind of competitors, you're right. I don't reference that they're liking Adam Robinson's content or V's content or something like that because I think it's a bit creepy and a little bit like Big Brothery, like watching like over someone. So instead, I talk about that I noticed that they're interested in a particular topic area. So I say like, hey, I can see that you're really interested in like cold email as a topic. And then I go into like whatever the pitch is, or if I
Right.
want to give a lead magnet. So I more talk around the topic areas And then I can be a little bit smart and be like, hey, by the way, you should check out Adam Robinson to follow. He's also a really good resource, knowing already that they engage with him all the time. Because if you name drop that person that they follow again, like it just creates like buy-in and trust from like a campaign perspective.
Fair enough. And that's
Yeah.
clever as well. So the next thing is the timing, right? So do you see any difference in terms of timing? So if you do it pretty quick, as soon as the engagement happens, do you see a difference in a positive responses or conversions? Or if it takes over a period of time, do you see any difference?
I've seen if you yeah, you go too late, i.e. like a week plus, you lose that like kind of lose the momentum because they might have moved on from, you've slipped in their memory. If you do it instantaneously, it's a bit creepy. Like, like and then bang, like an email comes in. Like, so typically the way that I've set everything up is to do like 24 hours after. And
Got
that's
it.
like the process for it.
The safe,
Again,
that's like the safe time.
yeah, exactly. That's like the safe time. I haven't done many studies on it. It's more like the reactions that I've had when I've tried out all of these different ones. Like I've done it where it's delayed, people forget. When it's instantly, people are like, it kind of works well, but also people are like a bit put off a little bit by it.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy, they probably might understand it's an automation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But slightly off topic, but one of the strategies, by the way, that I'm using, and I won't profess myself as being like, I'm not like Jesse or V or anyone like this when it comes to like, deliverability and things like that. But the way I've started using social data as well is I I track like big so I target sales and marketing people, right? So you have to think about this for your use case. But if you track junior people in the company, right, engaging with thought leaders. So from my perspective, I track Josh Braun,
Right.
right, and there's loads of AEs that like engage with Josh Braun.
Yep.
Then I filter it down onto target people who I would want to like tap into, i.e. their company as target. And then I send these AEs a message being like, hey, whatever, can see that you're really interested in cold calling. And here I'm obvious. I'm like, see, you've interacted with Josh Braun around like cold calling tips. I've pulled together like a little like one pager on how you can take Josh Braun's tips to the next level. Do you want it? That campaign creams it. They all reply back saying yes. But the reason that I'm doing this is because once they've replied to my email, then the domain is like my domain, like emailing them is associated as a trusted domain. So I've got two-way conversation going. So then I hammer into all of the decision makers at the companies once I get a reply from the AEs. So I'm looking for the AEs to find that level of intent with like those, training people. And then I smash into the decision makers once I get replies, because knowing full well that I don't need to worry that much then about deliverability, because I've already had that two-way dialogue going back and forth with someone junior at the company.
That's clever because, from where I am, there's a saying they say, with one stone you can hit two mangoes, and this is something similar to that.
Yeah.
So interesting. So the next one, right? So what are your thoughts? What are ways to capitalize on social data, even if the team doesn't post frequently? But before that, I had a question from chat. So Lucas asked, which platforms can you listen to from Trigify? Is it LinkedIn? Is it only LinkedIn or LinkedIn, Instagram, etc.? Are there any other platforms?
Yeah, so at the moment it's purely LinkedIn. In the next potentially before Christmas, if not straight after, we're adding Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, and podcasts. So one thing I didn't show was we have like a social listening feature, so you don't necessarily need to track anyone like specifically. You could just, for example, search for anyone talking about like cold email, for example, right? And then start actually live tracking this. So every day it's going to bring in anyone talking about cold email. Inside of this particular feature set, we're going to be introducing, like I said, Twitter, podcast, Reddit, YouTube as well, and then starting to build on it from there. LinkedIn's kind of like our landing, like our Trojan horse, so to speak.
Fair enough. Lucas, I hope that answered your question. And there's one more. What's the system to track responses from junior positions and then target decision makers, automated or manual? So in order to get the leads, it's Trigify, and from there you push it to Smartlead and show them the email.
Yeah.
You get your responses. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I use NA10 to get the responses from the particular campaign that I'm running. Once I get the email coming back, so once I get the reply pulled back inside of NA10, I will extrapolate the domain from the email on the reply. From there, I can go find the relevant individual through various different enrichment tools. I can go find the decision maker at that company, and then enrich the lead, and then that gets re-added to a decision maker campaign inside of Smartlead, if that makes sense. So Trigify pushes the data to Smartlead, the reply comes back in, NA10 captures the replies by the webhook, then I extrapolate the domain, find the person, add them to the new like decision maker campaign inside of Smartlead, and that's like how it's like all automated.
Got it. Awesome. So the next one is a bit of your advice, right? So do you have any tips on how you can use third-party data insights to enhance your outreach efforts? You gave us a lot, but do you have anything else?
By third party, like, do you mean like other tools or like
Other tools, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to talk about Clay because that's, everyone talks about Clay. I listen, I've talked about like NA10 already. Like, I'm a big fan of that. You don't have to use NA10. You can use like Make or Zapier. Like, I probably would to like Make. But you can build some like highly sophisticated like automations. And I think the reason I love Smartlead is like the API is so good and easy to use that you can start to do some really fun stuff based on like the replies that you're getting or not getting as well. Otherwise, yeah, I think nothing else comes to mind off the top of my head from third party tools.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you showed us how you run the campaigns, you showed us the workflow, but do you also would be open to show us any case studies of successful campaigns driven by social data?
Yeah. So we've got a lot of client ones that are doing like kind of similar things to the use cases. Like I said, probably the main two use cases are tracking like that thought leader and a competitor. So someone the other day was trying to I can't remember the name of the company that they were trying to find like the followers of, but I'll use Clay as an example. So they were trying to get the followers of a LinkedIn page and people that use that particular product. So let's take Clay as example. So what they did was they started tracking Clay, the company page, and they also started tracking Eric Nosowski, right? Which everyone knows. From there, they push that data through into a Clay table, or you can actually use Trigify as well, and you can use a like AI agent inside to then qualify whether that's the right ICP or if that's an agency or whatever you'd want to do to target that individual. But if they're engaging with that company page, then they're a follower. Then they most likely follow that company page, and therefore, again, like it's just a signal to you to reach out. So they that particular campaign was like a 1 in 6 positive like reply rate, right? So still not as good as some of the other clients we've been getting, but still like substantially better than pretty much any other campaign that I tend to run as well.
Got it. Thank you. So coming to the end of my topics, so building workflows inside Trigify, right? So what are the best practices for creating workflows that align with your team's outbound objectives?
So it's a good question. I think like with workflows, you need to I'll take it like a step back further. Like you need to work out why you're building a workflow in the first place. Like I build a lot of workflows, whether it's in Trigify or NA10 or anything like that. And some of the times I realize I'm just building for the sake of building because it's just fun to build some fun stuff. I think first of all, it's like working out like what actually do you want to get from it? Then how are you actually like truly reporting on how successful that campaign is being or not being? And then like once you have that like in place, then you can start to really flesh out like the actual like workflows that you want to do. I think with Trigify, like the reason why it's quite interesting for a lot of people is it creates what we call like evergreen campaigns. So they're like, in my opinion, they're like the golden egg that you want to like get, because for anyone building a campaign, you don't like you build it, you maybe get 2, 5, 10,000 leads, however big that campaign is, but you
Mhm.
then have to basically rebuild it once you rip through that list. Whereas the beautiful thing about like social data is what happens today won't be the same as what happens tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So there might be 30 leads today, there might be 700 tomorrow, and there might be 3 the next day. But what happens is you can auto push these leads straight through into Smartlead, straight through into Clay or wherever you want to. And it's the gift that keeps giving. So once you have the campaign set up, it will then run for you for like until you turn it off, right? And that for me, the way I think about campaigns is you've got like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 campaigns. Like tier 1 is like low volume, super targeted, and that's like that evergreen part, like where it's like always on clockwork, but it's low volume. From there, you can then go build out like your tier 2 and tier 3, which are like slightly high volume, a little bit more personalized, and then maybe tier 3 where you're just like, no, just chance the luck and smash it. And that's like the approach that I've always taken to everything. And I would, probably encourage people to think about it from that kind of like same logic.
And like Redum said, you're dropping nukes today, and thank you so much for that. So, lastly, so would you also want us to give? So, a couple of people joined off late right now. So, would you want us to give an overview of Trigify's workflow and automation capabilities?
Yeah, I'll show like how I'll show the example maybe right from using Adam Robinson, because I think that's better than actually using myself, because a lot of people will think, okay, what if I don't post? So if we look at Adam Robinson here, we've got like a lot of leads, right? Like 6,400 leads that are coming in. And by the way, every day, like we're adding like 300 or 400 from him because he gets quite a large amount of influence based on the posts that he does. I've created like a smart tag system. So this is like an AI system that will tag anyone that's a relevant ICP for me. Now, if we boil it back before I show you what I do, the theory is that you find a thought leader that talks about the pain that your product or service offering solves in any industry that you're within. If these individuals are then engaging with that thought leader multiple times, you know that what they have to say is resonating with that particular individual. So when the time comes to you reaching out, you know that they're going to be interested or at least open to hearing about you. And one of the mistakes that I think a lot of people make with cold email, from my opinion anyway, is when we've all been in sales and social selling, the whole theory about social selling, if you're just messaging people on LinkedIn, is just start a conversation. That's all that you want to do.
Yeah.
And we don't take that same approach with LinkedIn, with email. We kind of more go into pitching our product and doing amazing creative personalization things, and we talk about how we know their grandparents and all that fun stuff, and it's crap. But it's not the same like approach. But if you applied the same approach and just got some conversations going and provided value before you asked anything, that's when you don't need higher volume. That's when you don't need such a sophistication from an email infrastructure perspective. And the results through using like Smartlead are just substantially improved. So how I do it, we're tracking Adam. I filter down onto the relevant people that I want to reach out to. So I think we had like 6,400 leads. Now we've dropped it to 3,900. Then I want to make sure that people are engaging multiple times with him. This is like my sense check that whatever Adam's talking about is resonating with him. With the individual. So now we've dropped down to 567. Now that number might scare a lot of people because the volume's not there. But what if 25% of that is going to say that they're interested in speaking with you? Absolutely. Because that's what's been happening with people using this data, not just specifically doing LinkedIn automations, using Smartlead, right, as well. I think we got called out quite a few times. V had to step in recently to prove people wrong. Because people,
that was a fun one.
I think Hugo, who's on the call, people were calling him fake, and we had to get V involved to prove that we were actually legit on these campaigns. But then this data gets pushed either straight into Smartlead, right? We can just save it straight to Smartlead, or we can use a webhook to auto push it. Or we can auto push it into Clay and then do some further fun stuff in Clay, which is where I talked about lead magnets and routing it to different Smartlead campaigns. So that's the workflow start to finish that I tend to do. And then the only other one is I can have a webhook on the end of this and push this into places. I will mention this is in beta, so this is only released for paying clients right now. But I'm searching for anyone talking about cold email. And then basically I'm hitting them with some value add, basically what we're talking about now in like a condensed format as well.
Absolutely. And for people who join late, it's LinkedIn for now, but it's going to be other social platforms pretty soon. So just a heads up. So thank you so much, Max. But we turned on his camera, so we has a few questions, I believe. If you have anything, please go for it.
No, I didn't have questions. I usually do, but no, I was just a humble observer.
Awesome. But that's all I had from my end. And what countries does this work, Max? So
everywhere.
I think it's international. Yeah. So it's
international. Yeah. Any language you search for it in the language that you want to search for it. That's the beauty about this. It's not like geo-specific. Like it literally works anywhere.
Love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's all I had, but I'm picking up a few from the chat. How do you get the LinkedIn leads you want to track into Trigify? So
okay. Yeah, that's a great question. Funny enough, we're just about to release a feature on this because this is like the number one question that we get asked, which is like, all right, love the theory, but who do I track? I work in cybersecurity. I'm working with a client in cybersecurity. I don't know any thought leaders in cybersecurity, for example. So we're introducing, I think you might be on the call, our CTO, but we're introducing a discovery feature, which basically allows you to go find people engaging with certain content. So you can say, hey, pull me a list of everyone who's engaging with ISO 27100, for example, and it will pull up that. But you could also then say, find me anyone who's posting about that with a high level of frequency that has X amount of influence, and then you can start to track them, basically. So at the moment, the way that I recommend is just searching on LinkedIn and finding that. I can see he's just commented saying, I'm working on it, I promise. When we drop that in the next couple of weeks, then you'll be able to use that feature to find people.
Awesome. So if you guys have any questions, you can turn on your video, you can raise your hands, I'll spotlight you, and you can ask a question straight to Max. Any questions? If yes, please turn on your video and raise your hand. And in order to raise your hand, you have a React button in the middle. So click on that. You'll have an option called raise hand.
I'll join in as well while people are popping in with any questions that they have on the way through. One of the questions I had to go through over here is, Max, how does this pop in context of lead volume? Sometimes it's like I need to get 1,000 leads, right? So how do I do that knowing maybe the industry is not reactive to a certain way? People aren't changing jobs. The volume isn't coming through. What would you suggest we would do in that situation? Because anything that is social signaling based or anything that is event based is a catch-22. It's very attractive because it's event based, but it also comes with the flip side where we have to wait for the event to occur. So is there any suggestion you can provide for people who want to adopt this flow? Because trigger-based mechanisms are like, spoken for, it's the golden egg of sales, right? Because it's very real, it feels very natural, but it's very similar to word of mouth. Word of mouth is great, but it's not a predictable, measurable way of growth.
Yeah. So, I think a few different, I'm trying to gain my thoughts on that answer, but it's a few different ways of answering that. So first of all, I'll go back to what I mentioned earlier was like, I would never do signal-based outreach on its own unless the campaign is crushing it, right? Because you're right, what happens today won't be the same as what it is tomorrow. For me, it's more when you're really, it's like you've got your tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 like strategy on your outbound campaign. So you need to have like 3 different methods. In fact, Eric talks about this best. He basically uses like events at that like tier 1 and it's like super low volume. Then what he does is he like scatterguns the volume around people that won't typically fall into that like event-based category. So people that just won't most likely trigger it. And then start to build campaigns around that. So you have like this evergreen campaign going, which is off the trigger element. and then you are doing more what we call like static-based prospecting, which is like that kind of list building. But one thing that I will say is this the volume, if you want to increase it from a signal perspective, you track more people. Like that's like one solution to it. The other solution is this, funny enough, that feature that I was talking about, that discover feature. If you want to go find someone talking about cold email, you can just type in find me anyone who's engaged with cold email, and it will pull up like 5,000 to 6,000 people. Like we track about 2-3 million engagements like a month at the moment. So the volume's there. It's just a different way of approaching it, and then a different way of like thinking about it.
All right, fair enough. Easy answer. Cheers, man. Thank you. Yeah, just before you go on to that, there's a question saying, did they get it right? Tier 1, low volume, most personalization. Tier 2, mid volume, mid personalization, and tier 3, high volume, low personalization. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly how like I approach it. I think I'll maybe, I don't know if anyone on my team's in the chat, but like we can reference a link of like, I think we had Eric talk about this quite extensively on a call the other day.
Yeah.
So we can reference that as well, because that was a good one.
Yeah, easy. Fair enough.
Awesome. So there's one more from KR, but I believe we actually did that during the call. So would you want to do it again, or can we? Would you be open to see the recording, KR?
Probably makes sense to see the recording if that's fine. Because there's a few questions. Michael's got his hand up for a
Michael's been
second.
there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, Michael.
Yep. Go for it.
So I have experience cold calling in the past, and as somebody else was talking about, I had a business that grew really fast, but it was all word of mouth, and so I was always nervous about how would I go find business if the referrals kind of slowed down. So to keep it simple, I want to test an idea for recruiting for companies that receive too many applications, because recruiters are always trying to place like engineers or accountants or hard to find positions and getting a big fat fee. But I want to focus on basically helping them manage like the massive amount of inflow they get for positions that have a lot of applicants. So it could either be engineers when everyone's getting laid off and they're all applying to a few jobs, or jobs that just get a lot of applications in general, like maybe customer support positions, especially ones that are maybe like remote and pay well, something like that. And so I'm wondering, do you have any advice on how to kind of like test which markets or which verticals might be more receptive, like, and it in the context of like social data, it could be people complaining about like, oh, I'm receiving too many applications, or how do I find a good recruiter, or something like this. Like, I just haven't really thought about hunting for business in that way, but you're talking about things that are kind of sentiment or engagement based. So I'm just starting to think about it.
Yeah. So I think like, you kind of already done one example there. Like you could monitor anyone talking about like specific things like that. The challenge is I don't think many people will necessarily be like, oh my gosh, like we're getting overwhelmed by the amount of candidates coming in. Like that's like a champagne problem to have. So I can't imagine that'd be high frequency, right? For example, someone posting about that. What I would do, and it boils down to like a BD strategy as well, is we've got a lot of recruiters kind of doing this strategy at the moment, is go and monitor like your top 20, top 30 competitors that kind of go this high volume approach, right? So like a high volume, whether it's kind of contract or perm roles, but like a high volume level of approach on easy roles to fill. We know with recruiters that if they're trying to place candidates, the candidates are going to be engaging with that particular recruiter on social media, because they'll be posting about it, they'll be talking about these roles, they'll be trying to get people in on the active roles that they have. You're then going to get a list of everyone that's engaged, like I showed you earlier. It's everyone that's engaging. All you then need to do is create a tag to filter on to like the candidates, like the relevant candidate for you. And then from there, you can synopsis how many people they're engaging with this company, right? So it could be like, crap, they've had like 2,000 SDRs like engaging with this particular company, they must be getting inundated based on all of the engagement on a particular like role title, for example. So that's how I would maybe understand if they're getting inundated from using social data. With recruiters, you can apply that same logic to outbounding, by the way, because if like a client is engaging with a recruiter, they've either used them in the past, using them currently, or about to start using that recruiter. So either way, they're a qualified person for you to reach out to as well. Likewise, from that candidate perspective, so you can kind of competitive poaching using social data on a recruiter perspective is so primed because 9 times out of 10, recruiters don't tend to post about industry challenges. It's more very specific about like, hey, I'm working on this role. Hey, we're doing this. And so the engagement that you get is like quite a high level of intent because people then interact with that type of stuff.
Awesome. I hope that answered your question, Michael. Thank you. So if there's any other questions, could you please raise your hand, or you can also drop it on the chat and we'll address them.
Wait. I wanted to add something. My final question, if no one had any questions, we'll drop it as the last one. Firstly, for those who made it, you're great. We will reach out to any one of you randomly, and you will get the 5. Oh wait, it's a random voice speaking. Let me show my face. Haha. Yeah, you will get 12,000 EV credits. Alex, I will purposely give you credits on purpose so that you have them and don't. But on that note, Max, is there anything that you wanted? Oh, KR had a question. We'll just pop you in, KR. Just one. You just need to raise your hand. Sweet, thank you, sir. Max, is there anything that you wanted to drop in as well, sir?
Yes,
before?
we're gonna give everyone here on the call 20% off. So we've got a code. Yeah, we're going big. I think it's I don't know if I can type it in, but I think it's Smartlead 20. Hugo, I don't know if you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but chuck it in the chat, the code. But I think it's capital Smartlead 20. And so anyone on the call can get 20% off if they want to go and use us. You do have a trial, so you can test us out ahead of time anyways.
Hey, Smartlead 20. Please
There we
make sure
go.
you tag Akash. Who is it? Who do we tag?
Ignore and Swapnil, like always.
Okay,
right?
yeah. Please go on Slack and tag at Ignore and at Swapnil in the Office Hours channel, and I type in Smartlead 20 and you'll get it. But yes, that's awesome. That's great, man. I did not know this. That's really cool. Don't mind us if we take that.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we'll drop the Smartlead link in a quick second. But yeah, KR, go for it, my friend. Hold on, you need to unmute yourself, sir, and we need to spotlight you. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah. Hi, Max. Thank you, everyone. By the way, it's my first time, so Akash and Viba, thanks for your time. So I just want to understand, because Michael asked a good question. I just wanted to run this by you, Max. See, from what I understood, I'm in recruitment too. I just wanted to see, so let's say I want to target people based on social triggers, but my mark, from what I understand, is as soon as, let's say, I want to target and listen to, let's say, 2,000 internal talent acquisitions or chief technicals officers that are hiring, let's say, that I'm gonna waiting for them to either post something on LinkedIn regarding, hey, this role open or something like that. Max, what I'm trying to find out is how is Trigify can help. How can it help with the success? Because if I don't know, like, as in recruitment is so difficult for me, like, as in, it's just I can't get my head around it when it comes to the targeting because the intent is there.
Is this for outbound? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For outbound. So let's say for client acquisition, how do you utilize that? How do you utilize that knowledge that this person just What is that? Do you know what I mean? What is
Yeah.
it?
So there's two ways, right? So like and by the way, Trigify also has job data. We pull from 15 different job boards. So for recruiters out there, like you can use that. I haven't shown that, but from a social data perspective, the two use cases for outbounding with recruitment would be one, you can track the talent HR leaders. You can actually if I show you very quickly, you can actually start to enrich this data here, and you can start to see, okay, from the people that are engaging with this particular individual, this talent HR person, are any of them hiring any active jobs as well right now? But the idea is what you got to think about is when you're monitoring someone, you're trying to monitor the engagement that person gets, and you're reaching out to the people that are the engagees, if that makes sense. So the best use case for it is actually not necessarily well, if you're monitoring the talent people, you want to see if any recruitment companies are engaging with that talent person. If they are, that shows you that they're probably in they're probably in some form of conversation or have used them in the past, which kind of tells you, okay, they're going to be fairly easier to work with. Or you monitor your competitors, of which there are endless amount in the recruitment industry because it's such a low barrier to market. And then you monitor to see if there are any either candidates or businesses that fit your ICP engaging with them as well. So you kind of do it on the flip side, and then reach out to them off the back. So if you're tracking competitor and you see client X in your ICP has engaged like 3 times in the last month with this particular competitor, safe to say they're probably using them right now, because using them or have used them in the past, right? It's one of those two. Either way, then if you overlay job data on top of that and they're engaging with a recruiter, it's quite obvious that that's what's going on. And so you could reach out off the back of that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Can I just ask one more thing? So because of the low barriers, there's so many recruitment competitors to track. Is there a specific way for you to narrow it down? Do you go like as in by location? How do you do that?
I would try and find ones most similar to your business. So the markets that you tend to fit, the similar sizes to yourself, the roles that they tend to fit. And then what you want to do is obviously inside of a recruitment company, everyone works different desks. You kind of want to track the different desks inside of this, the different people that work different desks. So if someone's like STEM, track them. And if someone's like sales and marketing, track them as well, because you're going to get 2 different like people engaging with those people, even though it's the same recruitment company.
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries.
Awesome. Any other questions? If yes, please turn on your video and raise your hands, or also drop it on the chat.
Cool.
All right. Vaibhav, you're on mute. If you're
It looks like we're good. We're good. All right. You wanna do the closing remarks, sir?
Absolutely. So, Office Hours, no matter what happens, earthquakes, landslides, storms, we tend to have Office Hours every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. IST. And thank you so much, Max. Thank you so much for taking the time today. This was really insightful. So people, hammer the Slack of Trigify and of Smartlead, and there are 5 lucky winners who get 12,000 Smartlead email verification credits, and you saw the coupon code Smartlead20 for a 20% discount on Trigify. So thank you so much for taking the time. We'll see you next week, the same time. Until then, signing off. Cheers.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bye. Chisel.